there guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am here in the Teachable headquarters. Is that what we can call this? This is Jess. She's the, what are you?
I'm head of partnerships
She's
at
the head
Teachable.
of partnerships here at Teachable, and we've gotten the opportunity to do a few fun things lately. And I decided, since I was here in New York where their headquarters are, that I really wanted Jess to share some cool course ideas with you guys, because I know that a lot of you are interested in creating online courses for yourselves, but sometimes it can seem like the only courses that will be successful are courses about making money or about marketing.
Yeah.
And why is that, Jess?
So this is a very interesting topic. And I think like before I came to Teachable, I definitely had this thought that people that teach people how to make money, those are the ones that are successful. And what I can tell you firsthand is that there's so many successful course topics in the most random what seem random to us. But the thing is that like with marketers, people that are teaching people how to make money, your income is your credibility to teach people. So those are the loudest players. Those are the ones that we always hear sharing their successes. But really there are these like mini empires in so many different industries that are successful with course topics.
That's so cool. And that's definitely something that I've experienced myself. Basically, marketers are they're really noisy. That's what they do for a living, is they make noise. They get people's attention. That's what they're professionals at. And just like you said, our income is our credibility. If we're teaching people how to make sales or market something, then we have to show that we've been able to be successful at it in our own businesses. And so we share those numbers. But as we're going to get into in today's video, there are just so many different course topics that have been successful. But if I'm making a watercolor course, I'm not going to share the numbers. And so you'd never know how successful the watercolor course is.
Exactly.
So that's probably enough of an intro. So let's get on into it. Can you share with us some interesting, different, not marketing course topics?
Yes. I mean, there's so many. I mean, to the point where within Teachable, we have a Slack channel called Best Of, where people share unique courses and schools that they come across. Because the thing is, like, I think if you're passionate about something and you have personally sought out to learn a certain skill or a topic, there's likely going to be people that are also interested in mastering that. Some that just come up to the top of my head are copper deficiency in goats. Deborah Neiman.
Say that again.
Copper deficiency in goats. This is only one course, over 3,000 students.
What?
Yes. And
that's crazy.
She's just the thrifty homesteader. Her name is Deborah Neiman. But really what I think is so incredible about her story, and regardless of if you're a farmer or not, what she did was she taught herself how to raise goats. She was not a like professional farmer, if that is the correct term.
So she didn't have like a degree in goat copper nutrition?
No.
Okay.
What she was raising goats, and she was noticing that her goats were getting sick. And so she did a lot of research. And what she found was that there was not very much information out there. But there was also a lot of people also searching for these terms and these like topics and these questions. And so she started blogging. She then started to create a course on it. And she was probably one of the only people providing that answer to the people that were searching for it.
So basically, if we wanted to replicate her process, first she had a problem, and then it sounds like she probably did some keyword research.
Yeah,
so
and I don't know if she meant to, but that's 100% what she was doing.
Yeah, so she did some keyword research, and she discovered that other people were also looking for the same question that she was looking for an answer to, right? Other people apparently had the same problem. And so then she went out and she found the answer. It wasn't just like she already had the answer. I mean, that was what started this whole thing for her, right? Was she had a question. She didn't know the answer. She went out and found it. She figured it out. And then she shared that with other people. So she got to help them and make a living for herself in the process.
Totally. And I think the nice thing is a lot of people think that they have to be like this expert to create a course. And I think she's very transparent about her journey. But when she was blogging, she was also sharing what she was getting up to, the things that she was learning. And then she took her learnings and put them into a course. So
yes.
I think a lot of people feel like there's topics that they're passionate about, but who are they to teach about it? If you have learnings, if you're a couple steps ahead of the people you want to help, I think you can be incredibly valuable with courses.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I've heard so many people actually ask me or like tell me they were thinking about making a course, and they actually, I thought were an expert at something. They had something that they were a professional at, but they told me that they didn't feel qualified enough. And I just told them that there's so many people out there who know so much less than you know about this topic right now. So even if you are not the world's foremost expert on that topic, you can still help people get to the level you're at.
100%.
Okay, so let's get into some other interesting course topics. What else can you share with us?
So other topics that I've come across are paper flowers.
Paper flowers.
Yes.
So a course about how to make paper flowers.
Yes. And so this woman, she actually has a shop where she sells paper flowers, and no surprise, people were ordering them, but they were also asking her, how do I make these? Like, can you show me?
I think that a lot of artists probably have that experience, right? Where a lot of people want to buy their artwork and they're interested in purchasing the artwork and experiencing it, but they're also wondering, how did this happen? And maybe want to try it for themselves because they're so inspired by it.
Absolutely. There's also people that teach like how to get into coding boot camps or how to get a certain career in a certain industry.
Okay, so if you've been through a coding boot camp, you don't necessarily have to create your own coding boot camp. You could make a course on how to get into a coding boot camp.
Yes, and so I think that's really the key takeaway for when you're trying to come up with course topics. Outside of definitely you need to do your research, you need to validate the idea that there's a demand for it.
Yes.
But the thing that you are passionate about, the topic, it doesn't mean that you have to teach that topic specifically, but what are the things around that? Like, what are some things that you learned to become not an expert, but like you learned how to do it? Let's say you moved to a new city to get a new job. Are there things that you learned about like moving to a new city that you wish you had known? Like there's so many things that you can think of when it comes to topics like that.
Yeah, and so you just mentioned you want to do that kind of the beta test, right? With your idea. If you think you have an idea for a course and you think, okay, this is way too wild and crazy, no one will ever pay for it. You know what my favorite way to do a beta test is? I don't see a lot of people doing this, but to do a free workshop. So it's like a webinar, if you've ever been on a webinar, but you're not selling anything yet. You're just putting the call out there, like, does anyone want a free training on this? Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but you don't have to spend any time creating it before the people sign up. You can create it after you have the people register for it. You haven't taken their money, so it feels great for everyone. You get to give them some free training, test out your content, see how they respond to it. This is actually how a few years ago I started my #1 selling course, Startup Society, was I started doing free workshops every month. Then we turned them into paid workshops every month, and then we turned it into a subscription product.
Now, so we had you in for one of our summits. I think it was in March or a couple months ago.
I don't remember when it was, but okay.
a little while ago. And you actually brought something up that was very interesting. I'd never heard it before, and maybe you shared this on your channel, but you talked about how you would sell miniature versions, like mini versions of a course topic or a product to see what people would pay for to help you validate your idea, which I thought was so genius because if people are willing to spend money on it, they're definitely going to be interested.
Yeah, so a course that maybe later on I was going to sell for a few $100 or $1,000, I would start out by just selling it for $20 or $30, but a really small version of it. So a minimum viable product version. What is the smallest version of this course that you could make that would still get people basically the same result? Maybe not the same result with all the related benefits, but it would get them from point A to point B, and you could see if there was a demand for it. You could see, like I said, how people would respond to it, what questions they had, so that then when you produce the actual course, you can take all those questions and make sure that you cover all of them in the course, so that whenever someone writes into your customer service and they say, does this course include XYZ? You can say yes.
Yeah.
It's such a hack.
Like, I'd never heard that before when you said that. And it was such a clever idea because I tell people this. I'm like, look, Gillian Perkins was in our summit. She talked about this idea to validate your course topic this way. And it's just such a smart way to do it. So
it's the easiest way to do it and gets you the best results. So yeah, that's basically what everything that I try to teach with you guys is all about, is just what is the easiest way to get the biggest result possible. Okay, so those are some really interesting ideas. Do you have any more that you could share with us?
Yes. Okay, so kind of going back to this whole concept of you don't necessarily need to teach a course on a specific topic, but thinking of what are some things that kind of are involved in the process of learning that skill. Okay. It's kind of wordy, but so one of my favorite topics is actually Benny Lewis. He has a website called Fluent in 3 Months. Now, a lot of people know how to speak different languages, right? And there's a lot of courses on how to speak different languages, how to be fluent in French.
That's probably like one of the most popular course topics ever. Way more popular than marketing, right?
Yeah.
How to speak different languages. Okay, so what did Benny do?
So what Benny has done is he doesn't have courses that teach people necessarily like how to be fluent in French and teaches them the grammar and the vocabulary. He teaches you how to approach learning a language.
Oh, that's so interesting. I remember reading, was it 4 Hour Workweek? No, it was another Tim Ferriss book. It was The 4 Hour Chef. He's talking about learning different things, and he talks about like his method for mastering any language, but he doesn't go super deep into it. So then he basically, I mean, I'm not saying that he got this idea from that book, but he took an idea that was touched on in a book and he turned it into a whole course that now is it his entire income? Is it like
he has done, I mean, he started off blogging, and I actually think he wrote for Tim's blog on this approach. Yeah, it kind of came full circle. But he has books on the topics in so many different languages. And then now he has courses that have done incredibly well because it's also a unique approach. People are like, look, I can't memorize, or I can memorize words and I can memorize how to say things, but I want to sound like a local. Like, how do I approach speaking French to sound like a local? So it's just a very unique approach to learning languages. And it also makes his courses stand out amongst all of the other language courses.
Yeah. He took a different perspective on learning languages. And what I love about this is he took a topic that I could so easily imagine someone thinking, okay, I have an idea for a course, and they make a small course about it, and then they maybe sell it for a little while, they enroll some students, and then they're like, okay, that idea is done, you know, saturated the market with this one course. He took it and he turned it into a full-blown business. You said books, multiple courses.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And the nice thing too is with languages, as long as he's willing to learn about different languages, there's so many. I mean, he hasn't done just French and German, there's Spanish, there's Arabic, like there's so many languages, so it can continue to grow and expand as well.
And I think that that's true about almost any topic. There's one perspective you could take on it, but then there's other angles, and there's then also related topics that if people want to learn about this topic, they'll also maybe need help with this other thing too, right? So for example, if he wanted to take this to the next level, then maybe he could branch off into travel related courses. If his people who took his French course are then visiting France, right? Then maybe he could do a travel guide. Not to say that he will do that, but I'm just saying the possibilities are endless, aren't they?
And I think that actually brings up a very important point, which is that a lot of people that are maybe they see themselves as multi-passionate, or they can't really pick one topic to focus on. It doesn't mean that, like, if you're choosing a topic on, let's say, like learning languages, it doesn't mean that that is the only thing you can do for the rest of your life. You can find ways to expand it, but you just need to start somewhere and focus, build a community, build an audience, start to kind of grow credibility as a creator, and then you can expand into other topics. So you're not like trapped in one small box.
That is such good advice. I actually say that all the time about starting a YouTube channel. So many people don't even start a YouTube channel because they can't narrow it down to just one idea. They think I love all these things. And so I always tell them two different things. One is your YouTube channel doesn't have to be everything that you love. And I think the same is true with a course, right? You don't have to try to capture all your interests in one course. You can just pick something and you can just try it out. Because then the second thing is it doesn't have to be forever. You do have to focus on one thing if you really want to see progress with it normally, but not forever. For a few months, maybe a year or two. That's enough.
I mean, look at Gillian Johnson. She went from fitness to business, but she's been consistent. And I think it's like when people trust you to learn from you and you're consistent and you're authentic, like she talks about, there's definitely room to grow and change what you're focusing on.
Yeah, I was just listening to her podcast on the way over here as I was walking here. But yeah, she's a great example of someone who has done different things, but she's kept them very separate and she's focused on one at a time. So she didn't try to create a brand that mixed fitness and business and all her other interests. She's built separate brands for each one and really focused on each for a period of several years, really, before she moved on to the next one.
Yeah, no, I think it's great.
Well, hi there. I'm webcam Gillian. Nice to meet you. Sorry to interrupt your video, but I have something important I wanted to tell you about. In just a few days, Teachable is putting on a free online event that could teach you everything you need to know in order to create your own online course. So I don't know if that's something you're interested in or not, but I'm guessing it might be since you're watching this video. If it is, then click that link down below to sign up for it now because it's completely free. And I've attended this event before, and it's honestly one of the best online events that I've ever attended paid for free. You won't believe the value that you'll get out of this. You really will be blown away by all the speakers. I mean, I'm talking people like Marie Forleo, Pat Flynn, Nicole Walters, Melissa Griffin, and myself. So if you want to come participate, come learn a lot about how to launch your own online course, then like I said, just click that link down below. You can sign up. It's completely free. The summit is happening September 24th through 26th, and I'd love to see you there. Okay, that's all I've got. I'll let you get back to the video now.
Okay, so do you have one more idea that you could share with us just to give our viewers even more ideas for just the breadth of different possibilities that are out there?
Yes, I mean, there's so many. Maybe I can think of like a few, but there's some like baking. One baking course is like specifically like how to decorate cupcakes. So it's not just like how to be an amazing baker, but like people are Googling like, how do I make my child's 5-year-old birthday cake?
Yes.
And how do I make it look like a unicorn? And so this person is creating courses with very specific outcomes. And I think that actually can also help when you're coming up with topics.
Yes. You don't want to just make a course on a topic, right? You really need to make a course that gets someone from A to B, gets them a specific outcome. Not only does that help you to differentiate your course, right? So it's not just another baking course or just another watercolor course. Your course is getting to them to a unique outcome. But also it makes the course creation process so much easier. Instead of, honestly, if you try to make a course on a topic, not only does it feel directionless, you end up feeling like you are trying to write the Wikipedia page on it, which means it's endless and it gets boring, no matter what the topic is. It gets boring. But if you're driving them towards a specific outcome, then every time you are deciding what modules to create, you say, okay, what things do they need to do in order to get to that outcome? And then when you're figuring out the lessons inside the module, same thing. Okay, so this module is about this. What do they need to do in order to accomplish this like phase of the process? It just makes the whole thing so much easier and so much more interesting.
100%. Less is more. And I think you'll see that in all these different course topics, like even watercolor painting, which is another successful course. She has a specific outcome. So she's like, if you would like to paint this, it's like kind of like Bob Ross, but if you like to paint this photo of mountains with like a sunset in the background, this is a course for you. So it's not just like the general techniques. It's like, this is a very specific outcome. So yeah, that baking course is a great one. There's patterns. So for sewing, there's
I met this girl.
Yes.
Yeah, when we were at
FlynnCon.
At FlynnCon, yeah.
Yes.
She came up to me, and I think that she watched my videos, and you knew her. So yeah, tell them all about her.
So people sell patterns online to print them onto fabrics.
Yes. So just to be clear, we're not talking about patterns for making clothes, not like to cut out the things.
Yes, yeah.
But the prints on the fabric, she designs those. That was her job.
Yep, exactly. And what she found was there was a lot of people wanting to know how to do this because you can sell patterns. It's kind of like Etsy when people sell like printables and things like that. But you need to know how to do it. You need to know how to format it correctly for different printers. And if anyone is familiar with this topic, please comment below and let us know how it actually works. But she has courses to teach people how to do that.
Yes, I think both to design them and then also I think to get them published. Like just like when you're trying to get a book published, you have to get, I don't know what it is, a company that makes fabric to want to purchase your design and use it on their fabric.
Yeah, and I think it's so smart the way that she did that because to have all of those things in one course might even feel overwhelming to someone who's new to the topic. And some people might just want to be like, look, for the next 6 months, I want to learn how to design prints. That's all I want to do. So she's broken them up. She's been very successful. And I mean, she's such a lovely person. But
yes, she is. She's really sweet. And not only did that, I think, make, just like you were saying, the benefits of breaking it up into these separate topics, these separate outcomes for each course, it also meant that each course could be more affordable for the students because it's a little bit more modular. And it meant that she could market them more effectively because she was able to tell the students, by the end of this course, you will be able to do exactly this. And the student felt more confident that it was really what they were looking for. Versus if she was just selling this course about pattern making and selling and, you know, all things related to being a pattern designer, then someone who's just starting out might feel like it's not the course for them, right? Because they just want to learn how to design them. And someone who's more further along also wouldn't feel like it was the right course for them because they would think, well, I don't need to learn the basics of designing them. So that's probably been one of the keys to her success, is just that genius way that she chose to break them up and market them.
I think so. And I think a lot of people, especially if you are in this marketing space or you're learning about marketing, there's a certain price point that we see for courses and it's very expensive. And you don't need to necessarily undercharge what you are worth. You definitely want to have like a well-priced course, but it means that maybe if you have a lower priced course, you have like less in it. You break it up into 2 separate courses, like you were saying, so it's more affordable.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, this has been fantastic. Those were some really interesting course topics, and I hope that you guys can see that there are all sorts of different ideas for courses that people create very successfully so and make a living for themselves on topics that are not related to marketing, are not related to making money. Like we said at the beginning of this video, the reason that you hear the most about those courses and you hear about those courses being successful really just is because A, marketers are noisy, and B, they have to use those numbers as part of their credibility so that the people who are possibly buying their courses understand that they've been successful at selling courses or Facebook ads or webinars or whatever it is. But thank you so much, Jess. This has been
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
this was
for being
fun.
on my channel.
Thank you.
Well, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, then make sure to do that right now because I make 2 videos every single week, and I would love to have you join me for the next one. I think we're gonna wrap this up now, but I hope you guys are all doing amazing today. Thank you again, Jess.
Thank you.
And until next time, stay focused.